Då är det bra. Alrighty.
And we're live from Hong Kong.
So,
hello, everyone. Welcome to the chat. I'm here from Hong Kong Airport. My name is Arne Peder Blix. I'm one of the founders and Hogne. You are in Stavanger.
Yes, west coast of Norway.
Very good. We're going to do the same thing we did yesterday and look at the questions that you've given us. And if you chat live on our Telegram group, you can also post questions there, and we'll try to answer them as we go. So, Hogne, I think maybe you should start on warming up this.
Yeah, so we did get some questions submitted to us that we can just get right to. And the first question is, how can I make my web application available in the Friend Store? So as you probably already know, we do have our Friend Cloud environment and infrastructure available for testing in friendsky.cloud. And we have about 3,000 accounts there with people who are testing the environment out. And our plan is, as we move through the iterations with updating Friend, that we start allowing these users to actually use Friend there as if it was a fully activated cloud service. Now, in this environment, we have the Friend Marketplace, which is the kind of forerunner to the Friend Store. So, like with the rest of the project, we're already advancing on our goals even before the ICO. And this is also, as I said yesterday, one of the main points why the technology risk is so low in this project. So the Friend Marketplace is where we distribute apps today. And essentially the only thing you have to do to distribute your own apps and creations in the Friend Marketplace is to generate a friend package, which you today can do with Friend Create. So Friend Create is our developer environment today. And it is still work in progress, but you can build entire applications in it. And as you go through the project properties and add screenshots and all the files in your project, you generate a package, and then you just upload it into your software directory. And then one of the admins will go in and vet the application, just so that we make sure that there is no malicious code in there. And once we've vetted the application, it will be available for everybody. So it's a really simple process, but the process will be even easier as we move further. So yeah.
All right. The second question?
The second question is about how is the pre-sale going? Somebody's asking.
Yeah, that's for me. It's going better and better. We are learning as we go, and this is the first time for everything. So it started really well, and then it was slowing down a bit. That could have been market and whatever. Now it's coming back up again. We're doing about 32% fill at the moment, around 1,100 Ether. And now that I've been in LA, West Coast, and discussed with a lot of whales and guppies and smaller fish, bigger fish, and the same here now in Token 2049 in Hong Kong, I'm happy to report we have many processes of small, medium, and even large venture capital. So I'm trying to build a book here for a democratic distribution of the tokens. and getting all creeds and colors and shapes and forms so that we get the best possible token economy. That is done by not having anyone being too big and influential, and also making sure that the bigger ones are by various agreements, etc., set to hold their tokens for a minimum period of time or even longer period of time. And we just before this call, I had a very nice call with. We like the tech contributors, those who really care about the tech and who are long holders. And so we try to fill it with that sort of professional capital, and then as much community as we can get. So the pre-sale is on, still 20% bonus for pre-sale for small contributions. If you come with the pre-sale direct contribution of over 20 ETH, you get 30%. And as long as we have availability, and I will, when we talk to the professional capital, we're looking at hopefully getting most of the pre-sale done before the end of the month. That is by end of next week. So it's a lot of work, a lot of travel. I'm here in Hong Kong, and I don't know what time zone my head is on, but I will be sleeping well on the plane and ready to come back to Norway for charging. That's about it.
Okay. So if you guys want to make a follow-up question, then please fill it in, and our team will pick it up and plop it into the webinar chat room that we have here. The next question is, how can you make money if you open source the project? And I guess this is a question that a lot of people are asking if they're unfamiliar with how open source projects are actually working. And also, you have to keep in mind that developers in the open source scene are innovating business models all the time. And blockchain is one of the most innovative technologies to enter in with its cryptocurrency and token economy that allows open source projects to fund in the engineering stage of their project. But of course, the question is how you make money, after you've engineered it and you're an open source project. And the thing is that knowledge is power, but knowledge is also money. And for our sakes, like I touched a little bit upon yesterday, we will be the most knowledgeable people because we built everything. We know about every nut and bolt in the system. And also we prepared strategies for how to work with businesses, just like we've already started with Hogne Medical in Norway and other customers. So we do integration work and other things using our technology. And in this era, it's not really that important that you kind of lock down the IPR for your technology. The most important thing for people is that you have longevity in your technology, that you're predictable, that you're a stayer, and that you have know-how. So we will be a knowledge company very much, and we will also capitalize on the fiat customers in our friend store, which will be an increasing part of our revenue stream in the years ahead.
Excellent answer. And it's this dualism, the way we have structured this, which really makes it interesting. How the fiat part of the organization, the conventional part of the organization, which is built by and with equity and has a conventional revenue, and how that also plays with the token structure, the token economy, and the friend network and friend store, both the clients and the suppliers, the infrastructure. So the thing here is to try to get actually a symphony and a contact both ways, exchange of technology both ways, resources both ways, and software both ways, but also of currency both ways, fiat and token.
So there's another question. Will there be a friend computer or phone at some time? So the short answer is, of course there will. I mean, and this, I can't help but look a bit further down our list here, which we'll come back to. But another question is how we compare to other projects. So I'm going to touch a little bit on both questions. Other projects, as we go on different conferences, we see that several projects call themselves operating systems without being necessarily mistaken, because an operating system is many different things. Friend is a peculiar project in the sense that it is both infrastructure and operating system wise. It takes care of resources, it takes care of different protocols and so on that you need to build applications in a decentralized cloud. But at the same time, it also has the user interface that makes it akin to Linux on the desktop. It makes it akin to Android on the phone. As you may know, we already have a Friend app, which is like having a phone in your phone when you start a Friend app. So we're also kind of a phone operating system. And we do have some partners that are helping us in closing into delivering a full Friend native experience. Friend will be a computer. We have now a collaboration with an American company called Black Lab Linux. And as we get closer to them and their tech team, we are equipped with the know-how to build a Linux distribution for Friend, and to make our Friend environment available as an easy install to people who use Linux today. So that means if you install the Friend package, we can replace your desktop environment, and we put our server in there so that you can participate in the token economy using the Friend token, or just by distributing services. On the phone side, as you can see from our website, we do have a collaboration and partnership with Huawei. Now, I can't go too much into the details, but suffice to say, their engineers have ported FriendCore, our server, to run on Huawei phones. And they're very interested in seeing if they can make some kind of Friend phone experience using our operating system. Whether or not they will actually make that into a bigger thing or not, I can't go into, and it's too early to tell. This is really an early technology, but definitely we're going to be on phones within a year or two, especially in prototype. So you will have a Friend phone, and you will have a Friend book or Friend PC available, sooner or later. So
A bit cryptic there.
yeah, well, the thing is that we actually had an early Friend PC prototype in 2015. Just getting the workspace to replace the Linux desktop environment is not really a big job, but it's all the applets and integrations with the underlying hardware and with Wi-Fi and all that stuff that just has to work, so that takes some time. Now, we did get a question about exchanges again. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. Perhaps you could do a retake on when they will be able to see the token listed on exchanges.
Yeah, I'll do the whole the whole logic behind it. So we, like everyone else, are acutely aware that the token liquidity is important for everyone, for us as well. Of course, it has to do with the use, the velocity of transactions, the ability to have a token economy that is liquid, etc. So we are in today have the Norwegian FSA has accepted the token and our utility and how we set it up as not a security today. We are giving ourselves 30 days after end block, which is the 16th of May for Max Ether, to plan for the setting up on exchanges. And that involves also discussion with the authorities, just to make sure we do everything completely transparent, no surprises for them. This is new for the Norwegian authorities. This is new for the banks. It's new for the tax authorities here. So we just want to make sure one step at a time. I have been in a lot of dialogue with different exchanges. This is also a lot of the whales, a lot of the VCs. They have exchanges or are part owners of exchanges, and they will also help us. So we are in a very fortunate position that when I was here now in Hong Kong at Token 2049, a lot of exchanges have contacted us. Yesterday, when I was doing the pitch at the conference, so the SEO pitch conference at there were two exchanges coming and approaching and saying, this is great. We love the project. It's a great token. Come and let's discuss. So what will happen is as soon as the end block 30-day freeze period is over, of course the direct peer-to-peer exchanges of tokens will start to happen. People will want to do that directly, and then people will be the prices will be shadow listed. So most likely we'll be shadow listed and maybe even listed on exchanges before we do that ourselves. But I'm working on a timeline that should put us in on exchange before summer. That is the timeline that we're working on, but we are dancing this dance very careful with the regulatory because we can't really start the formal stuff before we have end block and we actually sit down with the plan with the authorities. So it's going well. It is not rushed, and obviously for us, liquidity is as important as it is for you guys. It doesn't mean you have to be on the biggest exchange to start with. It means you have to be on good exchanges. So talking to exchanges in Dubai, Gibraltar, of course, the BX, talking to a lot of the Chinese and in Singapore, and yeah. So I would say we are where we should be in that process, and as soon as we have something firm, we will let you know.
So the next question is about comparing this project to other projects, and well, it has a little bit of different projects in it. So as you well know, we do have our own storage. So as you can see here, we do have our own cloud storage, which is using only Friend technology. This is something that is available to everybody on friendsky.cloud, and in that way you could say, well, we are a little bit like perhaps some of the other storage projects. But of course, we are not into creating decentralized storage drivers. So the thing is that the entire Friend platform has components that is available in the blockchain community as decentralized solutions, and we're not gonna build those things. We're gonna partner, and we're gonna integrate with the other projects for those things. Where we are unique is how we deliver the connection between cloud infrastructure and our operating system to users through the user interface, the desktop environment, and the high-level APIs. So there are other operating system projects like EOS and others who work closer to the user when it comes to being an operating system. But I think there are no projects that I've seen that has really who's proposing to create something that could become a fully immersive desktop platform in its own right, and who are trying to become a desktop platform and a mobile platform at the same time. So I think that a lot of the projects that could be seen as competition, if you will, we see them as collaborators and as partners, potential partners. As you
Yes.
well know, the Linux world is full of desktop environments and competing technologies. But even in the Linux world, all of these are collaborating on open standards. You have something called Open Desktop, which is an organization for unifying all the various Linux and BSD and Unix technologies. And you could look at Friend as a unifier for the projects in the block space, be them operating systems or just infrastructure like databases and storage.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because over the last 2 days here in Hong Kong, I've been talking to a US project called Crowd Machine, and the Crowd Machine is a very interesting project. And when I started reading the white paper, I go, oh, this looks very similar to what we are doing. But there are all these small nuances and the different focus, and when we sat down and talked about this, we the management team there and myself, we found that there's a lot of complementarity, and something really interesting here is um, that when we decentralize open source projects, then there's only complementarity, and there is um, ecosystem thoughts. So a real competition is not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about synergies in the blockchain space for open source decentralized technologies. So we discover more and more of these new friends, and we see um, how Friend's job is becoming more and more clear to us also. I think that we are the glue. We connect everything, and we give the framework from which most of the different other projects and infrastructure can interact. But the fun part is these projects, they fit so well with Friend. They have the same ethos we see. They have the same values as we are having, and I feel it's human beings trying to actually mimic the technology. We're getting nodes of trust of people that we see want to do the same thing, want to accomplish the same thing, and then we find out how we can work together. So I think it's really working.
Yeah, and I think also the way our token is amplifying other projects and how we are engineering a way to make it easier for other projects to distribute access to their services. I think everybody is making part of the solution that eventually will be the solution that people choose to use on their computers in a decentralized fashion. So, like I talked to somebody else the other day, and several people see the pun, but also the point is that we're making a kind of benevolent, decentralized Manhattan project here, and everybody has a piece, and not everybody may know which piece they're actually working on the final puzzle. But I think that Friend will be a central point to the decentralized cloud in the future. And our determination and know-how and already momentum in building this goes to prove that. I think the next question is if FriendUp could be used for educational purposes. Perhaps you would like to say a few words on that first. We do have some interactions with the educational sector, and we've talked to several people way back from when we met with Wikimedia guys in the States. I think, was it almost 2 years ago? I think you lost your sound now, Arne.
I was
There you
muting
go.
it in order to I was muting it in order to
Yeah.
remove the background noise. So yeah, we're working with some people on the west coast of the U.S. who are having a project called the Educational Initiative, using technology to provide efficient, free, quality education for the third world. and also, of course, to have the new young, what are they called? They're not of them millennials. What are those that are 5, 7, 10 years now old now? Are they
Oh,
called?
that if they're not called Gen Z, then I'm sure there's, I don't know, Gen ZZ. I don't know.
Something like that. So yeah, for this is from the ethos from the start of the project when we discussed this when we really got going in 2014 that um, we have to build a viable commercial business and a viable solid in order to be able to do open source, and at the same time the spin effects for education, for humanitarian, for research R&D, for academia, they will become more and more visible as the project evolves, and but they are spin effects from a healthy and thriving commercial business because it has to be built. If not, it's not going to thrive. There's another question here I would like to take on, which is the one about why we moved our ICO from Switzerland to Norway, because
Oh, sure.
there are there's much lower tax or no tax and no VAT in offshore regions, and Switzerland is known for ICO runway. It's a very good question, and the answer is as complex as the question and more. Now, having been in fintech more than 15 years myself, you develop a certain instinct for when things become too structured complex to achieve certain things. And the tax structure, the tax avoidance structure, if you like, um, is tax is good. Tax actually makes the world go around. It pays for roads and hospitals and stuff, and it's actually quite necessary to have tax. How much tax is different. So what we do is in looking at the ecosystem in Switzerland. For us to play there, to be there, we would have to establish employees there. We have to have a full operation there, and Zurich is also quite expensive place to stay. Equally expensive as Norway. So why should we build values in Switzerland and have tax revenues in Switzerland rather than to have we are a Norwegian company and we are therefore trying to build an ecosystem in the north, which is also what we're talking about, having nodes around the globe of ecosystems that where blockchain projects in the north, in the Nordics, can use this runway that we are plowing. We're doing almost like a snow plow, making a new runway for ICOs in Norway. And there are a couple of other reasons that are vital. Norway is extremely transparent. That is a good thing. In Norway, a private company, the Friend Network AS, which will deliver the project if we get all of you guys to contribute and we actually reach the soft cap, um, then all of you will have full access to all information. And in Norway, there's a unique thing. There's more disclosure requirements for private companies than the disclosure requirements for public companies in the UK and the US or in Switzerland. This is actually down to individual level. So you will be able to see the detailed information about our salaries, the detailed information about a lot of things. And that's a good thing because it should be transparent. Also in Norway, we have a lot of digital infrastructure that works. We have something called Alt-in Norway, all in. And it's not for surveillance, it is for transparency and for trust. And it's because we have a social democracy that is actually working. So we have a very short inequality, or we have the lowest inequality index score of the Western world. Those values, I believe, are synergetic and actually mirroring the values of what blockchain is trying to achieve. So by embedding this in our project, embedding this in our ethos, uh, doing the ICO from Norway, getting the authorities on board, getting this, a very digital working society on board. Alt-in actually, I spoke to them today. And because we have chosen Norway and how they want to play with us, they want to actually include us in how they are now setting up a system for accounting, for tax, for using blockchain and for blockchain projects. And they're also including us in a couple of other projects on how to soft merge, actually put everything into one unified user experience. So there's a lot of spin effects of doing it from Norway. I think also the final point about it is that in Norway, we still have a fantastic capital called trust. The trust capital in Norway is actually very high compared to many countries around the world. And it's really about values. So I'm not saying Switzerland is a bad place, I'm just saying it's difficult for us to interact with authorities in Switzerland from Norway. That's very, very far. Instead of being able to have a lot of iterations and a lot of trust in informal talks in how to evolve our token, how to evolve the ecosystem, and eventually achieve the main goal of the white paper, which is to make sure that the friend network and the friend store becomes autonomous and becomes a virtual cloud machine, right, that is available for everyone and owned with integrity. So it becomes actually something like with Google Chrome OS with Google Cloud and AWS, where you can mix technology and you can mix currencies, and it's owned by everyone. So we can walk around and feel comfortable about our privacy and comfortable about power structures. Long answer.
Yeah, but still, this is important things, and it's really about making kind of Norway visible as a pro blockchain, pro cryptocurrency country, and kind of giving legitimacy to the technology and to the phenomenon. We hear about Singapore, and we hear about Malta, and we hear about different countries. It's good to also know that in Northern Europe there is this activity and these companies who are striving to legitimize the technology, because it is amazing. It is an amazing technology. It's a great enabler, and it's a very good vessel to evolve our economy. So somebody's asking about FriendUP in a business environment. Before I pitch you the question, I would just say this is our intranet. So this is where we have our email. This is where we have our Windows applications. So we've been using this system now for about 2 years. So this is WordPad, one we use for demonstration sometimes. As you can see, we have Thunderbird, we have various different customer applications that we're using. So we as a business have been using this environment now for a long time. And with our app, which I'm using every day, I'm probably one of the biggest users of it, me and Thomas probably. The app is fully featured. It allows us to bring our business environment to our phones on the go. And if we don't have any of our devices available, we just borrow one, log into our account. There's no residue on the computer we're borrowing. And so it's a safe way to have access to our entire business process, which we're using with Friend technology. At the moment, we're partnering with email application company, and they're integrating their email client with Friend. That gives us an encrypted Friend native application that I think a lot of users will love. It will also allow developers to do integrations against this application, so that they can have a new way of doing client-side integration and build new services based on their email accounts and email activity. So with Friend and the Liberator stack, you have all the web applications integrated in one place with one password, and you have a marketplace where you can have your own business applications distributed to you from different distributors, and you have your legacy applications, even COBOL applications running. So it's an optimal place to have one user account for all the things you do as a business. And this also goes a little bit to the educational question. We're working with a customer in Britain on a classroom solution. So they can make a user account with a template of what does a student need. And a lecturer, a professor, can then stream using this technology that we're using right now, FriendUP. He can stream his lectures to all the students who log in with their friend account, where they have all the tools they need to submit essays and work to the university or college or whatever. So at the moment, it's a great business platform. It's a great platform for professionals, and it's a great platform for educational. So in that way, Friend is great. And this is why it's not only infrastructure. This is what the user interface combined with the infrastructure can do. So it's going to be interesting to see what other developers will create using this technology for their own business uses. So if you don't have any comments on that.
No, I think you covered it really well. I'm actually feeling guilty because the question was also on the tax difference. And I didn't really reply well enough on it, so I'm just going to touch upon it a tad more. So again, tax is good. You shouldn't pay too much tax. The good thing about blockchain is you can really see that you pay exactly what the tax you should pay, nothing more. So we're working with Ernst & Young to prepare for global taxation optimization for the French law. That is a rather elaborate work because you need to then make sure withholding tax and VAT around the globe is taken care of when you automate a store like this. And therefore we are in Norway actually quite the tax legislation in Norway is actually quite good. And people have this notion that you pay a lot of tax in Norway. Well, it's not higher than in many countries. In Norway, the corporate tax is 23%, and the dividend tax is today 25 or 26. They're changing it up and down a bit in government right now, as we talk. But there's definitely nothing ostentatious or extreme about the tax regime at all. And Norway is, as I said, a very digital nation, so it Norway just works when it comes to a lot of the background systems. Therefore, for us, it will make it quicker, faster, better, and more transparent for all of us. And if that has a premium of a couple of percent on tax, it's worth it by a mile, actually.
Yeah, good answer. So we have a question in from Commander Data. So he must be a time traveler, those pesky enterprise people. So about this stuff, this is a question we've had a couple of times. And I could be, of course, a slime ball and say, well, tomorrow's airplanes have got even better Wi-Fi. And we were just having Wi-Fi conversations with Arne when he was on his way to Hong Kong, and he could use the Friend environment from his seat. But of course, yeah, there are places that are disconnected from the internet. And the idea is that if you use a friend book or you download the friend server, you can run your account offline. And so when you go back online, then it just synchronizes with the friend cloud, the friend network, and then you get access to the resources that you haven't backed up or live services that are hosted elsewhere. So a fully functional friend workspace will be available to you either using a Windows application. We have one in development at the moment that's being used in some business cases. It's a fork of the Chrome browser with some extra magic bundled with it. And it will allow you to run essentially kind of like a virtual machine of Friend on your desktop. Of course, if you download the Linux distribution, you're going to be able to download and run Friend as hosted on your computer. So for sure, we will allow people to use Friend offline and then synchronize with the rest of the network once they're online. So that flexibility is really important. And I think actually probably even as much as 20-30% of potential users see that as a real pain point. And obviously, being a fanatic about the Friend platform, having designed it from the beginning, my life wouldn't be complete without an offline experience as well. So it's definitely happening, and that's the work we're doing with Linux experts that we are collaborating with.
Okay, there's another few questions here I can take. There are, tell us about the interest from the public to your project. What responses have you received so far? And yeah, it's been massive over the last 4 weeks. High acceleration. Some of the people I've spoken to in Hong Kong, they're raising some critical questions. So you're doing an airdrop? No, we're doing in a very efficient bounty program that is actually activizing and including the community. And then, yeah, right now we're doing what we should do about getting the Telegram group more vibrant and make sure we actually engage with our constituents, with our almost 40, how many are we now? 39,000 members or something?
Yeah.
So Telegram community is definitely happening. Twitter, there's tons of tweets and retweets. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think we have more than 80 media coverage articles out there, and we're producing a lot of more content. We are also talking to a lot of more professional big media. I met some of them in Davos. They're dragging their feet a bit because of everyone is writing about the turbulence, Bitcoin up, Bitcoin down, Ether up, Ether down, and anything that has a daily volatility of 10 or 15%, people will talk about. But we are definitely trying to get the content out about the technology. I have to say, a bit of the financial speculation element around ICOs in general is a bit noise because it becomes very short-sighted. We are building technology. We are doing this for a bigger purpose, and we would like to focus more on that. Of course, you're going to have tokenomics that works, and you have to have a great token that people want to buy into. But at the same time, we also need to look at what is it's not just about the token, it's about the whole project. This leads actually to the other question I see here, which Commander Data has come up with, which is what if Ethereum collapses? If value drops to near zero, Bitcoin was now near the death cross. Isn't it tricky to be dependent on something like that? Wouldn't it be more practical to have your own friend coin with available value connected to euro? Well, we're doing a friend coin or a friend token, FriendUP token, FRND. It's an ERC20 token. That means it can be changed with other tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. But it doesn't mean, if something should happen, if Ethereum collapses, if it stopped tomorrow, well, there are, for the first item, there will be more than us worried about that. So there will be a lot of community response as to coming up with a different chain or coming up with a fork. We can actually also consider doing other alternatives, as you say, to lock it to euro. There are many other ways of getting stability or getting robustness into tokens, and we will address those issues as and if they happen. We are thinking about these.
Yeah, I think one of the important things regarding that question is to be as synchronized with the rest of the Ethereum community as possible. Because if that would come to pass, you'd have to listen to what the other members of this community have as plans or ways out. So there are, of course, several various different strategies for handling catastrophes in Ethereum, and it would affect everybody in the ecosystem. So I think it will not come as a shock and a collapse to the entire community for long. I mean, I think we already have seen that Ethereum is pretty resilient about meeting problems. And so I don't think it would be a situation where we would choose to opt out and switch to something else. I think this is something that's being worked on continuously. And so it's not like everybody's sitting and waiting for it to just blow up. That's very, very, very unlikely, like an asteroid attack or something like that. But if it would happen, there are many different ways out of this. I mean, after all, we're engineers, and this is what we do. We find solutions when there are problems. And the most important thing to us is to make sure that the users can access their private data with their encryption keys, even if the Ethereum network becomes unavailable.
Okay.
So there's another question about interest from the public. So perhaps you can take that one. You're traveling all over the place, so perhaps you have some fresh perspectives.
Yeah, it's yesterday I was pitching this here at the Token 2049, and great questions from the audience, and people stayed after. That's always what I think is the great thing. Is this event stopped at I can't remember, was it 9:30 or something, 9:15, and then people stayed and just wanted more, and this is what Friend does to people, and they just want to hear more, be more. And then I think some of you saw that the little group of fans that were there, they wanted to join on the webinar even. So there's definitely something about the ethos and the mission that we are on that resonates well with people. So and now that we are actually more proficient in explaining what it is, and we need to be even more proficient. We need to even get a better angle at that. So if anyone of you listening here seeing this, if you have any good one-liners about Friend, we are all ears, because it's Friend can be so many things depending upon where you come from, what your background is, and what your challenge, what your problem is. So yeah,
I think also one of the things that is perhaps the most interesting to me is when you go really deep in the technology. Of course, a lot of times, like on this webinar and elsewhere, we don't have time to go into the nitty-gritty of or the real magic of the technology. But we have had the chance to meet with a lot of engineers, and I think a lot of experienced engineers, even people who have been around for decades, find something very compelling in Friend. And of course, a lot of the ideas and dreams about a fully networked operating system that spans the planet has been lingering around in the back of the mind of many engineers over time. And there have been papers from NASA from the 70s about this dream, and now the technology is finally possible. But I think a lot of people, one of the responses is, oh, so that means that. They have a lot of gotcha moments and light bulb moments where they realize that how flexible this technology is. So this is one of the most ambitious things that we pursued with the project, was not to close all the doors, because oftentimes in a product development process, you try to box down the product into something that is narrow and easily explained. And we decided to postpone that for as long as possible, so that we could not throw out the baby with the bathwater like Arne usually likes to retort. But we've come to a point now where we can actually describe this like we've done, like a Google Cloud alternative that's user owned, decentralized, with a Chrome OS like system inside of it. But I think once people really start looking at the platform and getting to know it a bit better, they realize, wow, this is so flexible. To me, it could be something different than it is to you. But the thing it is to me, I don't get anywhere else. This is something that I've been wanting for a long time. And I think that's also why there is a cloud of really intelligent people who are waiting for us to get to the point where they can actually take this in their hands and run with it.
Yeah, it's am I on mute? No, I'm not. It's another thing which I really love about the blockchain environment and about talking to knowledgeable people who have been thinking about blockchain decentralized for a long time is so liberating compared to speaking to equity investors that I've tried to explain this to over the last 5 years, and people are saying, no, you're way too spread. You should be more focused on one vertical. Where's your minimum viable product for that vertical? What's the da 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 da? And I say, we have to think about all these aspects when we build an operating system. Yeah, but you're not so focused. You're not so focused. You should have more product focused. We are extremely focused on building an operating system in this paradigm. And then people go, oh, right. Yeah. Tell me more. So what? Just today, I've spoken to a couple of big whales, and they go, how are you able to keep all of these things coordinated? And the funny thing is, just like you said once, Hogne, about operating environments, it's people have this awestruck respect for it, and they think, how can you build something like that? And then you said something very smart here 2 weeks ago on a meetup. You said, well, an operating environment, an operating system like this, it's just like a really, really, really big program.
Yep,
So
that's what it is.
and so you just need to take one bite of the elephant at a time. Not literally speaking, of course, I like it.
So we're getting up to 5 minutes left of the webinar. There's one question that I would like to answer, and perhaps we could end the webinar with a message to anybody who's watching us. So somebody's wondering about if apps run on one system or if they're distributed. And they would like to know if an app can be faster on the Friend platform than running on a local system. So yesterday I talked about the fact that if you compare a JavaScript application to a program that has been built using C# or a compiled language, which is how traditionally you make apps for Mac or Windows, today JavaScript is so fast that in many instances you can't tell apart an application that's been written in JavaScript from one that's been written in C, for example. So what we call a native application, which is an application that has been built to run directly on computers, on hardware, today they are in competition with JavaScript applications on performance in many areas, and that's because of the great strides and improvements that Google and Mozilla has been pumping out, and indeed Microsoft. So to take advantage of this, when you run a Friend app, it's running in your browser on your hardware, and the web browser itself delegates the access to your hardware resources directly to the Friend application. So that means there's really no slowdown in the entire system. The repainting of windows and buttons and calculating what happens when you click around is pretty instant, just like it would be in a compiled application. Now, whether or not the Friend app will be faster then another different type of app is something that we'll see in the future, because we have to have more experimentation with cloud computing and cloud processing. We'll see how far Golem comes and how quickly we can take advantage of their computing networks. And there will be all kinds of other companies and organizations building this type of technology too, not necessarily for processing of instructions to CPUs, but there will be all kinds of other services. For example, there are a lot of cloud services today that do 3D rendering, not necessarily like Blender with the Golem, but OpenGL rendering of game graphics, for example, which is real time. And so that's a typical service where you get back an image instead of a computed result. So there are many different ways that we will see this, but also it comes down to, will the cloud be faster than your device? And at the moment, our devices are so powerful that it doesn't really give you a special advantage to run most applications on cloud hardware. But that will change in the future. Now that we're getting into quantum computing and increasingly powerful cloud clusters, there will be access to certain features that would be impossible for you to calculate on your singular computer, and especially when you're doing AI computing, which to most of us today is pretty abstract. I mean, you have some facial recognition features on your phone and different things like that. But once you actually start having AI applied to use cases that we don't use today. For example, let's say you need an AI to solve a technical issue you have, or to help you write your essay, or other things that requires the AI to have access to vast amounts of information and different things. In that case, a friend application with the friend network would be faster than just running something on your device. So we're in an evolution here of applications, and even how you build applications will change. And so definitely, as the cloud becomes more reliable and pervasive, and we get to trust it more, then you'll see applications that could never run on a singular device, and perhaps they would even consume all the energy you'd have in your space, your house, or whatever, to give you that experience. You'll see applications hooked up to the cloud that would be operating on immense power that you could never put into the palm of your hand. Okay.
Coming up on the hour, at the end here, like we will do on every webinar, and I think we should do this, as often as we can, maybe once or twice per week, we'll see.
Yeah.
And wherever we are in the world, and so the pre-sale, we are 32% filled last time I checked, and I think we probably have around 1 week left before that, depending on the pace of the various whales, etc. So whenever you guys have decided already that you want to participate, the sooner you actually send that to us, the more we can market, the more we can negotiate better with the various professional capital, because their bargaining position becomes weaker and weaker as we fill. Of course, at some point we will set up a progress bar, 50.1% and etc. And I think that will also be a last, what do you call it, call for action for people. So the sooner we get there, the better it is for everyone, I think, because then we can actually focus more on the token generating event, which is also a task that I have to and we have to manage. So yeah, I would really appreciate you guys jumping down from the fence and get going. What do you say, Hogne? What's your call to action to our people?
One of the most frequent questions we're getting in our Telegram group is, when do I get my tokens? And what we can say is that the faster we get to max cap or whatever it is in our TGE, you will get your tokens. And so it's just about to contribute as much and as helpful as you can to get us there, and then we really get this show started. So as you can see from our tech that we're displaying in this webinar, as you can see from our ideas and visions, I think you can see that we're really serious about manifesting this idea and manifesting this system. You know, collaborating with us and contributing to us is helping everybody out and making something really interesting that can help a lot of projects and will really bring you a great token.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to us and for engaging. Give us a question. We will accumulate them and go through them during the webinars to come. I'm going to sign off from Hong Kong, get on a plane and sleep. And this right now, I'm happy it's a long flight because I need to catch up on some serious sleep because it's been pretty wild now, and it's definitely worth it, and it's a lot of fun. But I need to charge the batteries a bit now. So thank you. Anything, Hogne? That yeah, I think we should be happy with this.
Thanks for your time, and let's do this next week sometime. And just keep those questions coming, and we're going to make sure we answer as many of them as possible.
And keep the ETH coming.
And keep the ETH coming. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.